I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are. As always, for the third time, I'm grateful to invite Jamila onto the show and onto my channel. And we're going to be speaking about some really delicious topics today. So I'm not going to introduce for too long. You've already met her before. And if you haven't, you can check out our other videos. I've done them a couple of times already, and they're in the archives. But today we're going to be speaking about the hot and cold tendencies of an INFJ. And actually, Jamila messaged me about this directly. She's like, we need to talk about this. I'm like, all right, yes, you're right. So thank you so much, Jamila. Thank you for coming on again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you are very welcome. Of course. Yes, we need to talk about the hot and cold. I'll tell you. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, please start on. Like, let's just get into it, right into it.
Okay, so I want to say now this is just in my experience with Boo. The hot and cold behavior is almost as bad, if not worse, than the communication dropouts. Because, you can kind of get the rhythm of a dropout, kind of. Okay, we're talking, okay, he's probably going to dip for a couple of days. Okay, he's back. But the warmth of the varying degrees of warmth in the conversation, that is troubling, because I think, like I was saying earlier, with non-INFJs, we can be, hot for several days consecutively. And then if we have a kind of a cold moment or a kind of a low response, I guess that's what the cold is, like a low response moment, that people can look and say, oh, did you have a bad day? Did you, did something happen? Because that lower moment looks, I've gotten to know you for this length of time. But with INFJs, the cold moment can come like immediately. Like, I don't know you yet. I don't know what you're about. I don't know, you're still a mystery. So I'm gonna think, did I do something? Did I call at the wrong time? Are you tired of talking to me? I mean, we've had 2 great conversations. Was that your limit? Like, I don't know what to think. So I'm gonna turn the criticism, I'm gonna turn the mirror on myself, because I'm the only new thing in your life, so to speak. So I don't know you well enough to know if it's a bad day, if it's too much negative energy, if it's, whatever. I don't know you well enough. So I'm just gonna assume I did something wrong. And then this spiral starts, because then we are over messaging you. Like, did I do something? What did I do? What did I say? Did I get you to? We're asking you a million questions. So now we're stressing you out.
Right.
Because you're like, I think you guys tap out after 1 or 2 text messages, and then there's just no response, which does not help. It doesn't help.
Oh God. Sounds like a horrendous situation.
So I made myself write this down this time. I made myself kind of write down what a non-INFJ walks through when we hit one of your cold moments, or low reactivity moments. That's what I'll call it. One of your low emotional response moments. So it's like, the first step is I'm confused. Like, what did I do? Right? Okay, you don't provide us any answer. Okay, is it my fault? No answer from you. Okay. Then it's like, okay, it activates insecurity, right? This is where people really start losing it, because it's like, okay, was I too loud? Was I talking too much? Am I too eager? Maybe I should pull back. Then it starts this back and forth internally. And if you take a person to a place of insecurity, they're going to get angry. The ability to be even-tempered goes out the window. And so it's going to be like, either they're going to super cling. I don't want to lose you. Did I do something wrong? What can I do different? And there's all these millions of questions and all these millions of text messages, and probably calling you incessantly, even though you're not answering a single phone call. So there's the and then you guys get frustrated, because it's like, why are you being so clingy? That is the one thing I do not want to deal with. And so you guys push back even further away. Yes. Or so either you get the clingy or you get the angry. And this is the person, how dare you treat me this way? What, you're if you didn't want to talk to me, why did you answer the phone? Why did you answer my text? Like, how about you come back to me when you know how to behave? And the person's really, and now of course I know that that's confusing to INFJs. Like, what I do? So you're catching all this anger, you're catching all this angry energy that you don't know what to do with, because it's like, what did I do? That is a theme. That's Boo's theme. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do this time? Oh, so people are very angry, or like in my case, are people very similar to me that are really kind of low emotion or just kind of more centered. I go indifferent. Like, I don't like experiencing extremes in my emotions, so I will just shut it all off. I'd be like, oh, this is you today? All right, I'll talk to you later. And I go away. Now, I found that is stressful for Boo. I don't know if it's stressful for all INFJs, but it's stressful for Boo because my wall goes up, and I've walked away from the entire communication. And because all of our communication is either video or text, it's not like he's sitting next to me to try to keep me engaged. So I've completely walked away from every form of communication. And so now there's this,
You wouldn't reply back to any of his messages if they come?
Well, so there would be a time delay. He will message, he'll be like, hey, he will respond, because I'm not necessarily angry. I'm just like, I don't want to deal with it. Like, I don't want to get to a place of anger, so I just walk away. Like, you're being weird, I can't figure it out, I'm gonna walk away, so that's just kind of my default. If I would rather be indifferent than angry. So if I can't figure it out, and he's not really talking to explain it, because I'm like, hey, what's wrong with you? Nothing. Okay, all right, I'll talk to you later. I gotta go before I start to feel anything. So that's just my response, and there might be others who respond very similarly, that, okay, you know what, this is ambiguous, this is weird, I'm just gonna walk away from it. I'm not walking away like never speak to you again, I'm just kind of escaping the moment. And so I'll say maybe 5 or 10 minutes will go by, and he's just kind of like, hey. Hey, he's like, you're quiet over there, right? Because I'm so talkative to him that when I shut up, it's like a big deal. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just watching TV, Yeah. And so then he'll tell a joke, or he'll do something goofy. Now, I laugh at him all the time. It's a genuine laugh. Yeah. So I will most likely laugh at him genuinely. Like I said, I'm not angry. Yeah. I'm just like, I don't know how to interpret what you're doing, so I'm just going to escape rather than, try to sort it out, because clearly I don't like pulling teeth for people. And I think that's either, I don't do that professionally, and I don't do that personally. So if you're really not in a place to talk, I'll just get out the way and I'll let you sort yourself out. You know where I am. Text me later. I'm moving on with my day. Just because I want to keep my humor. I want to keep myself.
You're an INTJ, and that's a huge thing to remember for anyone who's listening or watching. Yeah. Just remember that she's an INTJ, so INTJs have that. They're not cold or anything. They're actually very warm-hearted, kind people. But when it comes to a lot of emotional situations, that's what they do, is that they shut down. My sister's an INTJ. I know, if she's shutting down, it's time for me to step back and take a little moment away from her, because until she comes back, there's no point talking to her. So, but the problem is that a lot of people are not going to do that. They're actually, like you said, they're going to cling, they're going to get angry, or they're just going to end the relationship completely, which is what happens a lot.
Yes, because that seems to be the only answer. But the thing is, and what's really funny is, because remember, on non-INFJ, we're used to going back and forth. So if I'm not an INTJ, I might end it with you, but I'm not ending it. I'm just trying to get you to react. Right. And so what you're supposed to do, if you're ready script is you're supposed to come back and say, hey, what happened? I don't want to lose you either. Like I need to hear you say that I was important, that this isn't about me, that this other thing was happening, you know. So, but like I said, some people, they get frustrated enough and they'll say, you know what, it's over, forget it. And then INFJ does not follow the script. You don't come back. And so, or like you don't respond back, you don't pursue because the person said it was over. So, oh well, it's over. And then we're really mad at you because it's like, well then we're saying the same thing, almost like you're saying, okay, well then you didn't really care. So while you're sitting on your side saying you left me, you don't care, we're over here saying you didn't pursue me, you don't care. So nobody cares.
Meanwhile, both parties care a lot, and they really want
care
to
a lot. Exactly, miserable.
Sometimes I wonder about ourselves. Oh God.
Yeah. But the thing is, after you know, of course, watching your videos and you know, living through multiple experiences like this with Boo, it's like, okay, it's gonna happen. I can't ask him to not be himself because it just happens. And I think, like, I know in the last couple of years you've done like 8 videos on this, so like this is a big deal. And even before that, because like I saw stuff in your archives from like 2017, 2018, like one of your first videos was, okay, look, so we're gonna go hot and cold. It's not about you. Okay, it's not about you. This happened because, you know, there's too much going on in the environment. There's, you know, or you just hit us at one of our low bandwidth points, you know, the connectivity's dropped for a little bit. It'll come back. Like you were saying this at the beginning. It's hilarious. You were saying this at the beginning. And so I started really looking at that, like because then he'd come back hot, he'd come back alive. And I'm, are you okay? Are you okay? He's like, well, fine, I'm fine. Why? What's the problem? Well, and the thing is that it's not only the energy drop, it's like I would see it like this, like there's a topic like with religion. He and I were always debating on religion, having fun with it. And so I knew that was a topic where he would wake up like every time. And so he would always bring the topic to me. So one day I'm like, hey, I just read this. What do you think about it? I just read this topic on this particular religious thing. What do you think? And it was kind of like, oh, this is your thing, man. I'm bringing it to you. I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
But then 2 days later, he'd be like, oh yeah, remember that article you showed me? And come on.
2 days too late.
Yeah, because now I'm out of that phase. I'm not thinking about it anymore. And I'm like, okay, yes, what about it? You know, I'm trying to join in, but now I'm like frustrated and confused. So I just had to come to, okay, this is going to happen. These switches. And so there's going to be switches and swings everywhere. Conversation dips in and out, high and low, flood and famine. I don't know. It's going to be everything. It's going to be everything. So
I liked something that you said in the message a lot was, I think the dips are so hard for non-INFJs to deal with because the good parts are so good. The enthusiastic conversations are so bountiful and so just so amazing. I get that message a lot from non-INFJs. They're like, but it was so good yesterday. We spent so much time together and we just had so much fun together. It was like the best conversation ever. It's like, I've never had a date like that before. And then today they just don't even bother talking to me. Like, what's going on? And that's what the thing is. Like, it's like the major, it's just like the ups and downs are so crazy extreme that you're like, what is going on here? I'm on a roller coaster. I don't want to be on a roller coaster, you know?
Exactly.
I get car sick or something, you know? So, or motion sick. So what do you say to that? Like, how did you become accustomed to that? Or are you not still accustomed to it?
Oh, no, well, see, like I said, now that we're 16 months in, I'm more accustomed to it now. Like, and that's why I kind of wanted to put it out there, how jarring it is for us trying to figure it out and stay put, because most people don't want to deal with that. Look, I just want to date the one person that I met yesterday. Is that not you? Okay, okay, gotta go. You know.
You don't want to deal
So
with multiple personalities. That's brilliant.
yeah. And the thing is, and what's funny is that I recognize within myself that I can have different. We all have different moments and personalities. It's just that I think, as non-INFJ, we work harder to hide it. So we work harder to keep our energy high, and then we really crash. You know, but like I said, by then you've learned kind of the pattern of who we are or who we want to be most of the time. And so if we have a dip, the person is more understanding. But like I said, your dips are more obvious because your energy levels are a lot shorter. It's a lot shorter. So
and we don't hide it. We just don't. We've hidden ourselves for so long, like all of our lives. So now we're like, I don't give a rat's ass. Like, you're gonna take me as I am, kind of thing, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where I found Boo, like right at, well, this is me. So in experiencing that, I think, like I said, it was very jarring, but he always came back. Either he always came back from a dropout, a communication dropout, or he always came back with energy. So it was just, it's just me. Okay, this is his personality. Like, this is his makeup. I can't, and I really don't have a legitimate reason to ask him to do anything any differently. I mean, yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's not unreasonable, I guess, is the way that I saw it, at least at the time. So
sorry, before you go on, why did you stick around? Like, because I mean, a lot of people would have dropped out. So what? I don't know if you're going to talk about it later, but I just want to ask the question, what made you stick around? Because from what it seems, and I've said this before, it seems like you've done a lot to make sure that this relation keeps on going. And, you know, of course you love him. I mean, like him a lot and all that stuff. I don't know if you have used the L word yet, but, you know, it's why? You know, why are you still here? Like, it seems like a lot of work.
I think that is the benefit of 2020, where you're standing still. So my curiosity is there. Like, why are you acting like this? And I also had a little bit of the previous experience with the other INFJ. And so where I lost the opportunity to really be able to sit back and observe and see what's going on with Boo, because we only had text and then here lately video calls. We only had just technology. So that cuts out the whole expectation of, when are we going to meet up? When are we going to do this? Because, hey, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm not asking that question. I don't want to see you. I don't know if you're sick. I don't, there are no signs, right? So that kind of cuts out the whole, when are we going on a date? When are we going to do this? And why haven't I seen you? And because like with the other guy, because we work together and because we only live 30 minutes apart,
right?
Then it was more like, okay, even in the beginning as friends, it's like, okay, well, when are we going to hang out? Like, you're such a cool guy. And then it was like nothing. So it's like, okay, look, I don't know how we're going to be friends if the only time I see you is maybe if we cross paths at work. Like, that's not exactly counting as hanging out. So my frustration was really coming from, we're friends and we'll talk, but like, I never see you and you're like literally an arm's length away. Like, I work in your hometown. Like so coming to your town or you coming to mine, like, that's 30 minutes. That's nothing. That's driving down the street. Yeah,
especially. Oh my goodness. That's like around the corner.
Yeah, like it's literally nothing.
Yeah.
And so you add that layer to the interacting with the last guy, and the frustration of not being able to see each other and not being able to get to know each other face to face. So that frustration has been taken out with 2020. I'm like, I didn't even have that expectation in, over the course of this entire pandemic, because I don't want to see your face. I might give you something, you might give me something, I don't know. So my expectations were only on a texting level. So I think that's what kind of gave me the patience. Had we met in 2019, I don't know if I would have had the patience, because I'm like, when are we going to see each other? And if it was kind of going to be evasive, or I don't know, or then I would have quickly like lost my curiosity. But at least with text. Oh, go ahead.
Do you have a schedule for like texting, or how often do you text? Because that's also a huge problem with INFJs, is that we sometimes, like you said, drop out, and like I will pick up my phone, or I'll just won't reply back to messages for like days on end, because I'm just like, I am not in the mood to talk to anyone, And thankfully, like everyone who I've dated, I've actually told them that this is what happens with me, and my family obviously knows that about me. My friends do as well. But anyone I date, I always tell them I have this tendency to drop out from the world and not talk to anyone. So just be aware of that. But most people don't know that. So how did you deal with that?
So with, like I said, with the initial dropouts, very frustrating. And there were like the chopping block situation. I was like, what are you doing? Because I'm going to ask. Now that's the other thing I want to tell non-INFJs. If it's uncomfortable, make it known. Like, don't just live with it. So I was, after the first couple of rounds, like, why is this happening? Because my theories are either you're messing with me, you're really talking to other people, and again, in the middle of a pandemic, you really don't even have to talk to me. Seriously, I have a life. You don't have to interact with me. I'm not desperate for this disembodied text message. I've got other people in my life. So I didn't have a problem saying, what are you doing? Or asking, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? I said, because it's very disorienting. It's very jarring. Like,
and did he reply?
Huh?
Did he reply?
He did, but he didn't know how to describe it. He was just like, I don't know. I drop out. I just go quiet. I just, like, he didn't really have a way to really articulate it. But like I said, I don't think he knows that I watch your videos.
Right.
So I have all this background knowledge about why he's doing it. So even if he can't articulate it well, I can kind of fill in the gaps, in the back of my head. And so I'm not angry, or I'm not demanding that he give me a better explanation. I'm like, okay, he's being as honest as he can, because just like you said, the people who are already a part of his life, they know he's going to do that. He doesn't have to explain that, because he's been doing it his entire life. But I'm the new addition here, and I'm like, okay, should I go to them and ask them, because I don't know them either. I mean, somebody tell me something.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. It's kind of a combination of being curious about what's going to happen next, of really literally not having any other dating expectation that I would normally have had pre-pandemic. So all of that pressure has gone away. And like I said, when we talk, it really is a great conversation. And it's not that long before, he jumps back in, or conversations, kind of go back to what I consider to be normal. So it was. It was
not long. Sorry, I'm just interrupting you. How long was
not long? I want to say the longest, besides that time when it was a week and his phone had just died. That's all it was. But the longest, I'll say 2 days.
Okay, good.
2 or 3 days. Yeah. But at the beginning, 2 to 3 days feels like 2 to 3 months at the beginning, because I kind of did what everybody else did. It's like, hello, what are you doing? Where are you? And then after 3 or 4 text messages of talking to myself, I just, okay, whatever. And I go on with life, and then he comes back and I'm like, pick a location, pick a side,
It's also
come on.
because nowadays ghosting relationships is very common. And
Exactly.
I didn't even know what ghosting was until like a friend of mine told me about it. He's like, you're ghosting him. I'm like, I'm not ghosting him. So again, we need to be careful as INFJs not to give the wrong impression to non-INFJs, because that's the first impression they're gonna get. It's like, oh, she's ghosting me, or he's ghosting.
And so, and the thing is that not everybody will be as understanding as I am.
Of course.
and so if you come back, because normally if you try to come back 2 or 3 days later, you're first of all, you're gonna be met with a lot of anger, a lot of sarcasm. You're gonna get coldness from the other person, and then of course you're gonna be like, well, why are you doing this? And then everybody's frustrated. Because like I said, it looks like you ghosted, or it looks like, oh, you're just coming back around because you went and talked to someone else, and they didn't pan out, so now you're coming back to me. And I'm nobody's afterthought, okay? So, and so people will be upset, not understanding that is a normal pattern for you. And so just as I note, but I think because like I said, we were also on a Facebook group together. He wasn't talking to anybody else. So it's like, so I had kind of a few bits and pieces of information that let me recognize, okay, he's just doing this. Like, there's nothing really, there's no other person that he's bouncing between the two of us. I know he works, and I know how he was like 100% invested in the volunteer work that he was doing before the schools shut down. And so I just kind of started filling in the gaps for myself of, okay, he's probably going around either, gathering money for the kids so they can have certain supplies, or he's, organizing field trips and I know these things are important to him. So, this was his life beforehand. And of course, also I have my own life. So a lot of times during that dropout, I'm not sitting by the phone waiting for a text, and getting mad because it's my mom texting me and it's not him texting. I have other things as well. So that kind of mitigated the me noticing how much time has gone by. So if it wasn't for the timestamps, like, oh wow, it's been 3 days. It's been, yeah. And then you just get.
Sorry, one thing I want to add, Jamila, is that when we do these dropouts, obviously some people are going to understand, some people are not going to understand. But I don't know if this is like the right way to say it also, but if we do use that as a trust test, like we talked about earlier, this is actually another one of those tests. Inadvertent, unintentional, but a good way to figure out if the person is going to stick around. Great. I mean, wow, I can't believe you're sticking around. Maybe you're one, you're a keeper. And if they don't stick around, well, that's good. We just weed out the people who are not going to stick around. They're not worthy of our time anyways, kind of thing. So it's kind of unintentional, but it actually works very well as a trust test as well.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that the other night, and also with the dropping down to kind of the cold responses. That is a good way to weed out people, because obviously when you're engaged and your energy is high, everybody wants to be around you. Everybody wants to be around, yes. But it doesn't mean it's necessarily with the best intentions. Like, even someone who really doesn't want to be a part of your life will tune in and pay attention and be a part of, because it's high and it's exciting and it's warm. So everybody wants to be in the warm, but nobody wants to be in the cold. So it's like when it drops down, then only the people who are really invested in being your friend, or really invested in having a relationship with you, will at least try to stick around. But like you said, some people don't know what to do with that, and so they just kind of step away because they don't know what to do with it, and it's not going to stop. And there's not necessarily a great explanation for why it's happening. Right. So it's like, it's like you have to move on your own energy. I mean, I guess that's the thing. I made the decision to keep sticking around. It's nothing that he said to convince me.
Of course.
Quite honestly, it's not. And no, because it's not like he was like, no, please stay, I'll do better. No, he didn't do like that. He did not. He did not do anything like that. So it was really on
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's only on my own energy to keep being like, well, this is odd. If anything, I'll get some great notes out of this. What in the world? This is a new personality, you know?
For your next INFJ relationship, perhaps. One thing I want to add, Jamila, is that, and I've said this to many people, I have said this in many videos, a lot of people, non-INFJs, message me saying, what is this INFJ doing? I'm so confused, kind of thing, right? And it's mostly about the hot and cold thing. And so I was like, oh, but what do you think? Maybe they're dating someone else and they forgot about me. And I'm like, no, they're not. You know why? Because we barely have enough energy for our projects and for ourselves and for our self-care and for one person. I mean, barely enough energy for one person. We do not have energy for two people. There's no way in hell we can manage two people. It's just not going to happen, right? So whenever people are like, oh, but maybe she's not interested anymore. If she didn't tell you and she hasn't told you, I have someone else in my life, there is no one else, because there's no way in hell we can manage that. It's just not possible. We have very limited bandwidth, and it does not go towards two people. It goes barely towards one person.
Yeah.
I want to add that in.
Yes. Well, that's one of my survival kit recommendations to non-INFJs, is to recognize where do you stand with this person? Like, are they spending time talking to you? Like everything that you've talked about, those 4 ways, and I think you've done like 5 videos on this, the 4 main ways that you know an INFJ likes you. So if they're talking to you, if they're spending time, if they're opening up, if they're sharing circles, if they're sharing interests, which Boo has done all of these things. And he's on to, like you say, sending gifts, thoughtful gifts and things like that. So knowing that, okay, he's sharing deep childhood things with me, or he's sharing, deep things about his experience in the military, stuff that conversations you don't really have with just anybody. So these dropouts and these cold moments and these lefts and rights are happening, but I have this foundation of, why would he open up to me? It's like, why would you open up to me and then like disappear out of my life? What was the point?
Exactly.
So if you kind of like logic it a little bit, it's like, okay, he'll come back, or, let him process, he'll come back, and so that's what I just kind of started looking at as you were talking about in your videos, talking about, well, if they're doing this, and this, they really, really like you. Mm-hmm. So I had to override my own thinking and be like, hey, but he likes me though, because he's doing this, he's doing all these things. But he didn't speak to me. He is not speaking to me. But he'll be back. He'll be back. Because like, why send me a gift and then like not come back? Or why he has a hobby. He likes to build like model scale houses, like but like live houses. Like he did a huge model for his family of his grandmother's home. Like it was exact to the T. He's very good at that. And he made this whole display. His family was shocked. They did not know he had the talent.
Wow.
But I know. So it's like, I know more than your family. Yeah, you like me.
Sure.
You must. So with the hot cold and the
sorry, go on.
And the dropouts and everything, it's like, but no, you've got to really like me to be sharing your information. So let's look at this as part of personality and not being offensive or being funny or stuff like that. And I apologize for the light, because the sun is coming up here, so I'm getting hit with the light now.
It's fine. Look at me, how dark I am. It's like the sun is setting here, so our has set already. One thing I do want to say that you've kind of delineated already is that we wouldn't waste our time on someone because we just don't have enough of it. We have very limited time anyways. And so if we're spending time with you or giving you gifts or telling you our secrets and our stories, we've already invested so much time, so much of our precious time into you. We're not just going to completely abandon you just randomly. Unless there's a very good reason for it, it's not going to happen. In fact, INFJs are very loyal. So if we've actually spent a lot of time on you, we're really going to try as much as possible to salvage the relationship. We're going to do everything possible, go to counseling, whatever it takes to make sure that the relationship works before we're like, all right, I guess we can't do anything about it. We have to leave. But it'll really take a lot because we've already put so much into it and we're like, all right, I've already spent so much time with this person. I've already given so much of my heart and my soul to this person. Why would I just let it go just like that? They won't. It's just very hard for us to do that. So that's another thing to remember as well if you're a non-INFJ and you're worried. If they've already spent a lot of effort on you and given you a lot, just stay patient. Just stay patient.
Yeah, exactly. And try not to start arguments unnecessarily. I mean, and I say that as, I'm not going to argue with him and say, why, like, why, do it differently, do this differently. Like, I can't ask you to really do that because he would try. He could, even within himself, he'll kind of like become self-aware that he's being so weird, and he will really try to stay engaged. I remember one time he messaged me every day, like significantly for like a 3 or 4 or 5 days, like in a row. And I mean, and then would follow up with phone calls, and like he was doing a lot of communicating. And the thing is, of course, I love it because I'm a talker, but at that point I was like, okay, wait a minute. you're trying too hard because I don't want to deal with you dropping out for a month. Okay. So I mean, because I knew that was going to happen. I had already accepted that this is kind of how he operates. And so I said, and plus it was right after a funeral, someone really important to him had passed away. And so he was, I don't know if he was just needed the validation of knowing, okay, someone's really here, right? Like you're still a part of my life. It's, and so I said to him, I said, of course, I love it when we talk because it's always a lot of fun. I said, but you don't have to talk to me every day. You really don't. Like, I'm used to you, kind of the ebbs and flow in your energy. And you just had this experience. I don't want you to spend all your time on me. Like give yourself time to, really settle it, within yourself, I'm here. I'm still here. So like anytime I've either gotten frustrated with him or I offered him, something like that, I'm still here. I have to follow it with, I'm still here. I'm not going away. I don't, take your time. I'm still here. Contact me. I'm still here. So even when I'm angry with you, I'm still here. I'm still here. I want to punch you, but I'm still here. I told him that when we meet, I owe him at least, 2 arm punches and maybe a kick to the ankle because he's a foot taller than me. I can only, So I owe you a few licks here,
Oh my God, I can imagine more than a few, I'm sure. But oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, but I'm still here. I'm still here. But that's helpful. That's helpful to him because, like you said, Pete, most people will just, you know what, I'm sick of this. Yeah. I'm gone. And I'm just like, well, yeah, I'm not happy, but I'm still here.
No, I can imagine that must be really soothing for him to hear. I would be really, really grateful if I was dating someone to hear those words from him because it's just something. It's also because of our insecurities and our trust issues because we've had so many random relationships fail that we have like this thing. We're just expecting the person to leave. Oh, we're just waiting for the shoe to drop. We're just like, oh, yeah, when are they going to leave? Oh, maybe they'll leave now. Maybe they'll leave now. And so we're constantly in our heads thinking that. And so if the person's like, well, I'm not leaving, so do your worst. Well, not like that. But
now, I will say the other thing is working as a therapist. And the thing is that I'm not treating him like a patient. I'm not doing that. But it's my responsibility to provide a corrective emotional experience. Mm-hmm. So that's me not reacting to you like everybody else does. Right. Just so you can see what you can do on the other side after you get past a certain moment. So a lot of times when I'm working with patients and they have, bad behavior, where like, so either they're cursing at me or they're yelling at me, even though I know personally I've done nothing.
Yeah.
And they're upset and they're just acting out and they're just doing whatever. I would often tell my coworkers, I'm like, okay, so it's not about you. This is how they behave. This is how they handle things in their real lives.
Yeah.
We're just now witnessing it. Okay, so what are we going to do with it? Are we going to respond like everybody else and get angry and cut them off and, or are we going to work with them on it and be like, hey, you're you seem to be really angry. You seem to be really upset with me. Like, talk me through it. Tell me what's happening. Tell me, what does it mean when I keep showing up? Like what? And a lot of them will say, well, because I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm waiting for you to leave me. I like having you here. I love seeing you. Our interactions are great, but I know you're going to leave me. And I'm just trying to hurry it up. And it's like, oh, why do you think I'm going to leave? Like, what makes you believe that? And it's just previous experience. Every time I've leaned on someone, every time I've gotten invested in someone, they leave. And then I'm just stuck high and dry and going through these extra set of emotions that, I don't want to go through. So I'd rather hurry this up, kick you out of, do whatever I got to do to kick you out of my life now. Let's hurry up before I get too invested.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, sorry, I don't leave. Sorry, you're going to have to walk through your whole emotions now. You don't get to shut down with me around. Sorry. Which has been because they do get to the other side of their emotions and they do get to the other side of whatever it is that they're dealing with and finding a better way to deal with it. Yes. So yeah, so poor Boo. I don't think he know what he signed up for.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I love it because it's funny because normally you would say that to a non-INFJ. You don't know what you signed up for, but I'm glad you did that to your INFJ.
Yeah, because I'm similar in that regard of I don't easily walk away. I want to see if something can be solved, or at least understand what's happening. Recognizing that I still have the choice to walk away whenever I get ready, but I want to at least know that I've solved the mystery of what's happening. And so if the solution does not require me to walk away, then yeah, I'm staying. Or I'm willing to observe for a ridiculously long amount of time until I get to the answer. So I think that's just part of my personality. I'm watching you. Like yeah, look, in my personal, and again, it just might be my personal experience. I've worked in psychiatric hospitals. I am used to being in the same room with someone who's in a complete rage. It's not at me. So I'm used to them climbing on tables and walls and windows and throwing things. I'm used to being in the same room with all that chaos. I've gotten used to that over the years. So this, whatever it is y'all are doing, it's not that.
Not yet. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like, okay, if Boo starts walking on tables as big as he is, I would need an explanation for why that's happening.
I think everyone's
don't walk on,
like, what are
don't walk on my table. Walk on your table. Don't walk on my tables.
Oh my goodness. He's probably like feeling like a chill down his spine. He's like, why? I feel like someone's talking about me. But yeah. Well, anyways, this is really good.
It's too early. He's not going to be functional till at least noon here. So I've still got a few hours. And he got his second shot. I think I told you he got his second shot. He went ahead and got it done, and which cracked me up. And I didn't hear from him all day yesterday because the second shot is a doozy. I don't care who you are. The second shot you get these almost flu-like symptoms without the respiratory distress. It's like, so you get the body aches, and you get the chills, and you're just walking, you're just miserable for like a day. You're miserable for like a day. I don't care if you're military trained, I don't care if you're this big tough guy, you are miserable.
Yeah.
And so the first day after, I said, how are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm a little sleepy. Yesterday, no communication at all. Yeah, you are under the bed at this point. Like, trying to tough it out.
Oh God, I'm sure.
I mean, it's like literally, it's like a day. So like today, he'll probably be fine, Well, so. Say what?
Because he won't ask for help, of course, like not even just the fact that he's a military guy and he's African American and a male and all that stuff. He's an INFJ. You don't ask for help, for God's sake. That's so annoying.
He's not gonna. No, he's just gonna sit there and suffer and maybe eat a little bit, or just isolate in his room, or yeah, he's a handful. Okay, so yeah. he told me, he said, I'm 5 handfuls. I'm like, you're like 7,
And that's like the low end.
Yeah, it's like he knows that he's this bag of contradictions. He just doesn't, he can't articulate it, so it's like you kind of got to live through it, because and then just react or handle it or whatever. But yeah, he knows that he's this bag of contradictions. He knows. He just.
Well, you have enough for a book one day, Jamila. Like, if you decide I'm gonna write a biography or something like that, you have lots of material for it.
Yeah, it's like how to survive.
Oh my goodness.
INFJ situation through it, because I hear you say every time that there's all these people who want to date INFJs, and I'm sitting here like, do you really? So because and I think that's all the other problem. Like, people super romanticize what that's going to be like based on this great and wonderful conversations and interactions, and oh wow, they know me so well. Yeah. But then you get all the other stuff that comes with it, and then
but I think the light always comes with the dark. Like, you always have to remember that you can't just have the rainbows and the glitter and the sunshine. You're gonna have the dark stuff, the shadows of the INFJ. And if you're not strong enough to deal with it, then you don't deserve to be with an INFJ anyways, or not deserve, but you just can't handle it. So what's
you're gonna be
deal with.
Yeah, you're gonna be upset all the time, and like you said, and that it does create a scenario of unrealistic expectations when you're expecting, because the thing is, it's legit. Non-INFJs, you guys make us feel really, really good that we want to hang on to that feeling for as long as possible. It really feels like you know me. It really feels like you accept me, for who I am right now today. You're not asking me to be taller or shorter or thinner, or you're looking at me and you're just enthralled with who I am, even if it is for just that 5 minutes. And that is such a rare experience anywhere else in the world, because everywhere else in the world, we're being judged. We're being judged for skin tone, for size, for height. We're being judged on so many things that it's rare to meet a person who will just engage you as you are, and just be there in the moment with you. And so you want to hang on to that, and you want to capture that. And then we violate, an INFJ rule of, I just want to be free. Like, no, we have to put you in a bottle so that we can access you anytime, and then it's like, making me feel great. It's like, this is not a genie, he's not a genie. He can't. It's a human being, who also needs the comfort. And that's the other thing that I wanted to bring up, that over time that I've picked up on about Boo. With the cold moments, what really makes it extra confusing is when you call me in a cold moment. So it's like, okay, it's one thing if I initiate conversation with you and you're great one day and then you're meh the other day, next day. It's a whole nother thing when you contact me and you're at meh And so it's like, hey, right? So he'll call and he's like, hey, how's it going? Hey, what's going on? I'm all right. And there's like nothing. And I'm like, but you called me. What? What is this? This is new. What is this?
Uh-huh.
And it's just what I've picked up on it to be is like he needs something that he's not gonna communicate. So it's like if he gets on the phone and he's already kind of low, I'm like, tell me about your day. Who have you checked in on your dad? Have you like what, tell me what's going on, because you're here but you're not here. What do you need? Because the thing is, he's told me in the past that he feels like my voice is very soothing. I'm like, okay, I'll go with it. And he knows that I'm not, because I'm not a high emotion person, I'm not one that's going to get angry and irate and ask a million questions. And so he'll just kind of be there, and eventually he'll say, I found out another friend passed away, or people are really not kind, or like he would. So really what it is that he would have had experiences that brought him low, and he needs a little help to kind of come back up. But he can't say, hey, cheer me up, because why would an INFJ say that? But why would you go with the obvious? I'm feeling bad. I'd really like to talk with you and kind of get cheered up a little bit. Why would you say something so simple? So now I gotta but it's like he's like, okay, I know she'll cheer me up, so I'll just present myself and hope that she gets it.
Oh my God, that's so cute. Oh,
Yeah.
Just my heart warm just thinking about it. It's
Yeah,
just
so
happy that he's like a little puppy. He's like, I'm here, now pet me. Or like, but he's not a little puppy. He's like this huge guy who's like,
yeah. So it's kind of like, if we were in the same house, it'd kind of be that person that came and sat next to you, but didn't say anything. Okay.
Thankfully, you know what to do now. You're like, all right, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. Oh my God.
Yeah. Now I do. And like I said, I pull a lot on my expertise, because I'm used to stonewalling. So I'm used to a lot of this behavior from patients. I don't want to phrase it to him like that. I'm used to clinical people. You're acting like a clinical person. No, but I don't want to say that. So I'm just like, okay, I'm used to stonewalling. So there's a lot of stuff I'm used to experiencing that I'm comfortable with, just from my history, that I know that a lot of people would not be comfortable with, because you're comfortable with your friend who's having a low moment. They will call you and they will immediately start complaining or venting or whatever. You don't have to ask them anything. If anything, you've got to get off, you got to slow them down, So with your non-INFJ friends, you're going to find out immediately why they're in the space that they're in. But INFJs, y'all are a special breed. Yeah.
We're bad at expressing ourselves emotionally.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed, for me at least, I was always the cheerleader, or like the person who cheered everyone up, the joker. And so like I wasn't allowed to be sad in my family. So now I'm like, I don't know, can I be sad around you? And then a lot of times I end up with friends who are always like very needy. So I can't be sad, because like I need to be around for them. And so I found like in general, I have no one to rely upon in that. So I'm like, there's not like, and I'm sure it's the same thing for a lot of other INFJs, because we end up being counselors, we end up being the jokers, we end up being the people who cheer other people up or take care of other people's emotions. So there's no space for us. And so we just don't know. And for him, probably he's like, oh, there is this person that will give me the space, but he still doesn't know how to ask, because he's never asked, because it's just part of his vocabulary. Even I wouldn't even know how to ask someone or to say to someone, I'm feeling sad. Can you help me cheer up? I wouldn't even know how to begin saying those words, even though it seems so simple. It's like, can I just say those words? Really? What the hell? Wow. I can't believe it. It seems ridiculous in my head. So yeah, anyways. So
And
actually,
what's,
sorry, go on.
oh, go ahead.
No,
I
go on.
was going to say, what's really funny is that because I knew that about INFJs, that they tend to pull in, people who kind of need, I'm like, I don't think he's going to like me because I don't need anything. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm also used to being the counselor. I'm also used to being the reliable one. I'm used to being very independent. So I'm like, I don't have anything I need him to do. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
But it must be such a relief for him though, like, because I feel like it's not that we want to attract people who need us, it's that we just end up attracting people who need us. Like we just end up attracting narcissistic, needy, clingy people because they just like they're attracted to our light or whatever it might be that they see in us, and they're like, oh, this is the person, and I'm just gonna clamp onto them. And I'm like, well, don't clamp onto me because it's not your, like, I'm not gonna do that for you anymore. But I can say that to people now, but a lot of energies can't. They're like, well, this person needs me and I'm the savior and I help people and I want to protect the world, all that nonsense that we think in our head. One thing I do want to say is that I actually wanted to do another session with you where we talk about those clinical terms that you just mentioned. And I'm sure you have made more than stonewalling. I'm sure you see a lot of random things that we do that you're like, this I've seen in my patients. So maybe we can do another session where we talk a little bit more about that in the future. But for now, I'm going to have to say that this just has to end. Otherwise, we could literally talk all night long. And I'm like, I'd be happy, but I don't think our viewers would be. So again, Jamila, thank you so much for coming on. It's really early for you there. And so I'm really appreciative because I know that I know you have other things to do, especially on a Saturday, which is when we're recording this. But people will actually see this on a Thursday. So everyone, thank you so much. If you've already listened to this part all the way to the end, I commend you. And thank you so much for listening, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.
Bye.